to Real Talk with Eric and Ed. I'm Eric.
I'm Ed.
And Ed, you have a guest with us today?
Yes, we have Milagro Spencer is here with us today to give us his wisdom on life and things that we kind of been discussing, some things that we've been concerned about, and we felt like it was important that we invite him to come and hear his perspective on some of these topics that we're going to talk about. But thank you for coming, Milagro.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
I told Milagro, I said, hey, you have to be yourself. Within reason. No, I'm kidding. But,
So get the bleep button ready.
No, I said, yeah, but I feel so blessed and honored to have him here. Just a quick background. You know, I've had a chance to meet Milagro probably when he was 12, 13 years old at the Hope Center for Kids.
11
years old,
12.
12 years old. And believe it or not, we had a football team, the Hope Center football team. At that time, we were on a downward spiral. Our team was not that good, but Milagro was a quarterback. I don't know if it was his quarterbacking or my coaching, but we were struggling during that time. But I said that I got it.
It was your coaching if you were
It was
struggling.
my coaching.
Yeah.
What? We won more than we lost.
That last year was not.
I didn't play that team then. No, we won more than we lost. Our first couple games, we won more than we lost.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. But you look at the tapes on that last year. Oh no, maybe you wasn't on there.
Yeah, I wasn't. You talking the wrong team.
Okay,
No.
ladies and gentlemen, scratch that last comment. It's when Milagro left when the team got better.
It went
There you
downhill.
go.
It's all downhill
So
from there.
it had to be the coach.
This
The
wa-
coach, it was the coaches then. I went to Northwest game last night. No offense, nothing personal, right? The guy said, "Is it the Jimmy? What is it? The Jimmy and the Joes or the X's and the O's?
Okay.
What makes the team bad?
Yeah.
They were losing. This is not a put down. This is sports. Just before we get into the serious stuff, 45-0 after the first quarter.
Dang.
All right.
And I sit there and I thought about it. I said, okay, my son is one of the coaches there. And I reached over and I told my granddaughters, and I said, hey, tell your dad that his dad said he needs to be fired. But we'll love him and we'll hire him back before next week. They were losing 45-0 after the first quarter.
Lulling him into his false sense of security. Just waiting to.
I think the coach get too much credit. I think the players make the team.
Now,
Look at the Patriots after he left.
so if
They want to give Belichick the credit. He couldn't do it with nobody
can't
else.
do it with nobody else. So if you are a Northwest football player, we love you. We're supporting you. We're cheering for you. And we'll be back next week. All right.
Yeah.
Very good.
Good.
Very good. Cool. So that's at 11, Hope Center. A couple years playing football. What else? What else is going on around those days? Was Hope kind of like the highlight of a time playing football and all that, or give us a little?
Me, I always see. I started going down there when it was the boys' club. I played for my first team there at the boys' club. Mr. Phillips was my coach at 7.
Okay.
And I saw him at Nika Wedding,
You got to be
and I
kidding.
said, "Man, you remember me? You was my first coach." And my little brother, he wasn't old enough to play,
Okay.
but my dad was like, "Hey, if you want my son to play, my other son got to play, or he can't play." So he let him slide in there, and 11 was pivotal for me because that's when my dad went to prison for 19 years.
Oh wow.
Okay.
And you don't even know this, but my birth mom, I've never lived with her in my life. Actually, I didn't even know she was my birth mom until 12.
What?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah.
So okay, let's go back because you hit me with some things I didn't know. Okay, how did you guys end up at the boys' club?
Man, like I was telling you the other day, most of the kids down there, can you tell me their parents signed them up for that? We all was just bored and y'all was open, so we just walked in. I mean, it was like even with the community, how people view 11-year-old. Well, we didn't view ourselves as that. We was grown men at that time.
Right?
So we was out walking 20th, walking 16th, walking in the projects.
Okay. This is. You hit me with this. Okay, I'm all over the place, but I got to get this in.
That's all right.
We were at a community meeting. I'm going back to you at 11 years old when you got to the boys' club, and one of the arguments were, why are these kids hanging out in the streets, and they're 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, The question was, where are the parents and why are you allowed to be out in the wee hours of the morning like that?
Right.
Like I said, 11. But I mean, if you go back and you think about even your time, maybe you had structure, but you can't tell me you didn't have friends who was out at 11, 12 years old to 2, 3 o'clock. When you come from either your grandparents raising you or you got a single mother, she got to work. The bills got to be paid either way. We know what times we got.
Yeah.
So with you're saying with parents having to work, then the kids are left unattended to do what they want to do.
What we gonna do?
I get it. Okay.
What we gonna do? And when you, I mean, honestly, even you take the Hope Center off for 20th, what do them kids in the area got?
Wow.
Where you gonna go? After school, it is open. Matter of fact, we look forward to school because some of us, we know we're gonna get 2 meals a day there. The rest of the day, we might not. Some people come to the Hope Center just because they gonna eat.
I used to hear that all the time. They said they talked about how some of the kids would say that, hey, we come down here, man, because
You gonna get a hot
you're
meal.
gonna get a hot meal. And they'll probably like, okay, that ain't true. But then after a while, I started seeing more and more. It's like, man, when it was time to eat in the line at the Hope Center, man, it was like some of those kids was like, hey,
Eat
this
3 times.
that's it. Wow, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So you got to the boys' club. You were at the boys' club, 11 years old. Okay, you had the privilege of being at the boys' club and the Hope Center. What was the, not to compare, but I mean, what did you?
It wasn't too much big of a difference. It wasn't too much big of a difference. Either way, it was. It was the place we got to be a kid. It was a place we got to be a kid because after that, it was back to the hustle and bustle.
I heard one of the young men that used to come to the Hope Center. He said that the Hope Center for him and his friends were the only place that they felt safe. And then so he had begun to tell me like all the things that were happening in his neighborhood. But he said when they got inside the Hope Center, he said they were able to be a kid again.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Even as a grown man, you don't have no shelter or protection over you. So it's scary. So imagine being grown at 11 from your whole life. So it is the safe place. It is the place we get to be a kid. You're free. You're very free. You're safe as a kid. We didn't feel that way.
You didn't feel that way when you were outside of places like that.
No.
So let me ask you this, Milagro. So you feel safe coming into a place like the Hope Center or the Boys Club. And well, in those places, there's rules. There's people telling you what you can and can't do. You know, you're 11 years old and you're being free to go and do whatever you want to do. Why would you come to, and I know why, but I want the audience to hear, why would you come to a place where there's structure and there's people telling you what you can or can't do?
Right.
It's like, all right, as a kid, you don't mind getting a whooping by your parent because you know they love you. But better not nobody else do it. So when you know somebody love you, you can take discipline.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anybody else, nah, don't even try it.
So Eric, we have 11-year-olds, the mindset
Right.
of young kids, not being supervised, having the freedom to go. My mom used to say, she said she never wanted her kids coming home to an empty house.
Right.
Right, because that when the Bible talks about that, even the Bible talks about that, the importance of kids not being left alone and those type of things.
Right.
For you, like, and I'm not, you guys to the degree you forgot, I'm not asking you to share anything that's uncomfortable. What was life coming home for you? What was that like?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's interesting because when you mentioned, when you said on Wednesday, hey, something about parents signing up, I thought you were saying the opposite, meaning the kids didn't show up unless their parents made them, because that's how our world was. The kids always just wanted to just go home and play, right? And just go play with their friends. I don't want to go to a structured thing. I don't want to go over to, don't sign me up for the church thing. Don't sign me up, right? Because it's fine. And it ended up being okay. But no, I mean, that's where, and then look, I went to a small Christian school. My parents, mom's a teacher and a family full of teachers. And so they didn't like, the one school, something went wrong. So we just started a new school. A couple families got together and just found a little building. It happens to be the old church building that you had before your current one is where we started a school. And so there you go. Now it's me and my 3 best friends and like 6 other people. And that's a class. And so my 5th and 6th grade class, there was 2 of us in 6th grade. and 4 or 5 fifth graders, and that was our class. And that was school. And so, to your point of not wanting to get disciplined by people that weren't your parents, we'd still have that with the folks at the school, but it was such a small, intimate group that you knew they loved you. You just didn't want to be embarrassed in front of your classmates. You know, it's the one time that the one girl was teasing me and wouldn't give me back my hat, so I kicked her in the shin. Right. But yeah, obviously totally different. Now, yeah, we were free to go roam around for the afternoon, right? I was even thinking about that with our kids nowadays. Like, I wouldn't let my kid just go for 3 hours, go ride her bike somewhere and not have a way to contact. But we would do that. We would ride our bike almost a mile to go to a friend's house. And then, yeah, you check in, but there was always a mom there, right? And so there was a lot of continuity and just assumed safety, because just there was always a parent. And so we would try to get away with stuff, but really not that much stuff, right? So.
One thing I love about when we were approached with the opportunity to do a podcast, one of the things that I thought about when the thought of doing this is I said, okay, look, I want to be as transparent as I can. And I realized, I said, okay, you know, when the guests or the people that we have on the show, one of the things that I want to celebrate is the different backgrounds of where we came from, right? So when I hear Eric say that, in my mind, it doesn't compute because I didn't come from that.
Right.
But there's a small part of me, and we'll talk about that later on down the road, that I wish I had came from that, right? So we're going to come, the perspective of you take just that subject alone, 11 years old, the freedom to go and come when you want to, the 3 different perspectives that you're going to hear as to how we were raised and how it shapes who we are as men and fathers and those things today. My mother was so strict for us, you know, even though she did work, when she got off of work, we weren't going to a there was no Hope Center at that time, but we couldn't go. She wasn't going to take us to a boys' club after working at Logier's all day, you know, and then have to wait around to come back and pick us up.
Right.
You know, and then start. You know, she didn't do that. So we never did. I never did go to places like the boys' club when I was growing up, because mom, she I mean, like I said, mom worked sometimes 10 hours a day, and then we weren't doing that.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't later on, even when I started participating in sports as I got a little bit older, the first part of that time she never did come, man, because she was and she was too tired. You know, so 11 years old, you're at the boys' club. You said, okay, tell me about that. Tell us about that. That freedom of just going and coming whenever you want to.
Now, the way y'all saying it, it wasn't actually. We all got structure.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, if they're sleep, if they working at those years, they doing these things, they gotta go to sleep. It's not like they're allowing us to do it.
Right.
But we outside.
Yeah.
They don't know who we like. From what I could say, my experience, you included. It's not a. Most 95% of black families with 3 or more people involved, 3 or more siblings, at least one is going to prison.
Why do you say that? Now,
I want you to go off of your experience. Even from your kids to your brothers to your... Have anybody been in prison?
Of course.
Okay, well then, that's why I say that.
Okay, let's dive into that a little bit more. You said 1 out of 3.
Yeah. If it's 3 or
3?
more siblings, 95% of black families, at least one is going to prison.
Okay, what do you base that on?
Just life. My experiences, the people I know. From my family to your family to every... Tell me one that didn't happen to.
So,
and including generations before, like your mom. I bet you at least one of her siblings went to prison.
That's interesting.
Is that true?
I mean, you got me
Is
thinking.
it true?
You got me thinking. Thinking.
So you're framing it on, just clarifying from a data standpoint, on anecdotal, meaning the relationships and the network that you have, right? So is it
environment?
Is it more about the environment, location, and not black families?
Environment.
Well, and so what I mean by that is that statistic makes sense to you and the network Right, the people that you are familiar with and that you're exposed to, right? But does that doesn't necessarily mean it's ubiquitous across all black families?
No. And
Right.
environment.
Yeah.
All black
Okay, I
families
get
in
that.
any part of the world in the inner cities. Why? Because if
Right, inner city.
because
exactly.
at the time, even like growing up, you can't tell me every family you knew in your neighborhood had a car. So think about
Like, y'all really got me thinking.
yeah. Now tell me this: how many
That's because
good
King
jobs?
King owns all the cars. That's why.
How many good jobs or even jobs was in our environment? So if you're not mobile, how you get there?
Okay. Okay. I love the way you handle that. You said okay, if 1 out of 3, one's going to go to prison.
I want you to go off your life
All right,
experience.
okay.
Tell me.
Hold on. You said 1 out of 3 is going to go to prison.
Yeah.
Okay, then you said environment. Okay, so would it be better to say it like this? Because of the environment that we came from, chances are higher. If it's 3 siblings, if I have 3 siblings,
Yeah.
based on the environment that I
Same
came from,
house, same
house,
people raised them.
the chances-
One could be a pastor, one could be a manager at the thing, one going to prison.
Yeah.
Okay, I can see how you would think because of the environment. I would say it more like the chances of going is more realistic because of the environment that we come. So, because
That's what I'm saying. That's what
yeah,
I'm
I
saying.
got it. Okay, got it. Okay,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying.
Well, and because if you're surrounded by people of which 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 go to prison or have come out of prison and they're involved, then at least a quarter to a third of the influences around you are of that mindset. And if you look in any professional discipline, if you look in any kind of walk of life, right? Why do doctors have kids that are doctors that have kids that are doctors? Not all of them are.
Right.
But why? Well, because they grow up saying, oh, wow, my parent's a doctor. I'm around it. I hear medical terminology. They seem to enjoy what they're doing.
Right.
I'm going to explore medical. And so there absolutely is, when a family has a certain perspective, that comes down to the kids. And so when you don't have a nuclear family unit that is consistent, then your influence now is not concentrated. It is more broad, right? And so now you're getting it from all these other individuals. And if a third of those individuals are either coming out of prison or, about to go there because of the decisions they're making, then that's going to continue to perpetuate the same, another third of that next generation are going to go do the same thing, right?
Got it. Ooh.
Is that kind of...
I can't all the way agree with you. Like
Okay.
I said, it's environment. Now I'm gonna ask you a question because I consider us to come from the same environment. Have you ever met a doctor in your childhood? In your neighborhood?
From my neighborhood? No.
Exactly. So your mind can only go as far as you can see.
Oh, yeah.
Now that's why I love that Bud is the world champion. These kids in our community, they get to see that. Now they can believe that. Nobody, I remember Bud walking down the street telling people he was gonna be world champion. Everybody, man, dude, hey, sell this dope. He would tell you this. I was there on 16th and Victor when he got grazed in the head. We were shooting dice. Like your mind could only go as far as you can see. So we see the teacher. You know what they tell us kids? How broke they are. Why would we want to be them? We see our mamas. They always telling us, no, we can't get the Jordans because they struggle and pay rent. Why would we want to get a job? We see her work all the time. She don't never have money. But the dope man ain't never complain.
Right.
We see him with the nicest cars,
Right.
see him with the nicest clothes, and he got the best woman. So successful to us is him.
Yeah.
So you're not saying that you just telling us based on what we
Environment.
see, environment. This
Yeah.
is
Your mind can only go
these
as
are
far
the
as you can
images.
see.
Okay, I get that.
This
That
is
makes
the
sense.
only
That
successful
makes
person I've ever seen
That
coming
makes
up.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Why wouldn't I want to be that?
Yeah.
Successful.
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Eric.
Well, this is too provocative. Why do the doctors and the lawyers move out then? Because the reason you don't see them in the neighborhood is because they live out west where the bullets aren't flying.
Ooh, we gonna get to that
But
too.
as a kid, you cannot control your environment. You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Like when I was coming up, 72nd, we had the crossroads. black people did not go past 72nd. We didn't even know what 90th was.
That was true in your time too.
Yes.
When
So
we
that's
were
what I'm
growing up,
saying.
yeah.
Environment.
Oh,
we
yeah.
didn't even know about 90th. That's out of town.
My one friend, when we
That's why it's
when
funny.
Terminator 2 came out, so my small Christian school, I think there was 6 black kids in the school out of the 220, right? One's pastor, one's working at a nonprofit ministry. I lost track of a couple, but the couple that were my friends, and yeah, I'm pretty sure he said to me, "I've never gone to Westro's to a movie." I'm like, "Come with me, it'll be fine," and we did. And he actually got us tickets. I won't get into the whole story, but because the gal at the ticket booth, I think, was intimidated by him. Because we weren't old enough to get into the Terminator 2.
Okay.
So anyway, but yeah, I'm pretty confident he told me that. I'm like, well, let's just go. Because to me, I'm like, well, I come down to where you are. Why can't you come out here?
Oh boy, we gonna deal with
See,
that.
I know.
Hold up before you.
I'm not,
Hold on.
but
No, I just
I'm
wanna
not that.
know-
I'm
I
not
just
that
wanna-
ignorant now.
Okay.
I'm just saying. But that was me at 16, right?
I could disagree with that too. But I'm gonna make a valid point.
Hold on, what's our word? We don't say disagree. We say I see that different.
I see that different.
All right, yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm gonna make a point to you that you don't even know. Now you consider them 6 black kids. You know, to us, they Oreos. Like them. I'm gonna be honest. Them kids have the hardest life because they too white for us and they too black for y'all. We wouldn't even consider them
they're
black.
No, see, they're not too black for us.
I'm just saying in the
no.
in the general. See,
That's a can to open.
In a
Today's probably
you,
not
you
the
know what I'm saying.
today's probably not the day to open it.
But do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's automatic.
I get
Okay,
the.
so
I'm not saying you have to
Right.
feel that way.
But okay, in our remaining 5 minutes, I want you to. We can't leave the show without
Okay.
explaining that a little bit. If I'm hearing you right, what you're saying is that okay, when you just subscribe as a kid being an Oreo, you're saying that you're black, but you don't feel like you came up the way we came up,
Right.
or came up the way you came up, right?
And I'm gonna be honest, my son is one. Like I raised him in Bellevue.
Okay,
I would be scared to put him in North Omaha schools
okay. Why do you say that?
because it's a different type of grit. Like when you have, sometimes people, that's where the aggression come from. Sometimes we don't have nothing but our toughness. So we're gonna maximize that. I don't have money. I don't have the video games. I don't have the clothes. So only thing I could do is be the aggressor. Now, so y'all gonna stop laughing at me. All I gotta do is make an example out of one. I will fight all y'all. And just for the simple fact that I'm so aggressive and y'all can't handle me, y'all give me a pass. Nobody even talk about my dusty shoes.
So you're saying that's the mindset
When you have nothing.
when you have nothing. Okay.
Now I'm gonna be the toughest
heard
because
that.
it don't
Okay.
cost
I got it.
nothing
I got
to
it.
be the toughest.
Okay, I got
Just like Hope Center, that was our safe place. Well, what y'all gotta understand, those same kids grow up. Now prison is our safe place. We're going to get that hot meal. We're going to get a bed. We don't have to worry about being fly. We all wearing the same thing. Now prison is our safe space. And now instead of you teasing me about my clothes, now I'm gonna get aggressive for you. Now you gonna have your family send me money for phone time.
Okay, we don't have time to dive into that part because it's almost over with. I got a question about that. When I go to the youth prison, and especially we went yesterday, and we were talking about the rules of being pulled over by police. We'll deal with that in the next show. But there was one particular kid there, and I can't say it by legally. I can't say his name. The more and more he talked about, he felt like the tougher he was, the more validated he was going to be as a person. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, he said, okay, if I get pulled over by the police, he said, if I have to die, I'm going to take some of them with me. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, dude, are you crazy?
Right.
And the other inmates were sitting there thinking the same thing. Man, you cannot, that's a death wish. You can't beat the police like that. But I looked into that young man's eyes, and to your point, he felt like his strength was showing people that, hey, if you mess with me, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to show you that I'm tough. I'm thinking about, I said, dude, look around, you sitting here in prison. But that and look, I don't get scared by a lot of things, but that kid's eyes
Right.
scared me yesterday. Go ahead, Eric.
Why do you think the Bible says the meek shall inherit the earth?
Right.
Because all of these things, and thank you for explaining, all of that is the exact opposite of how to actually, follow and hear from God, and therefore let Him have you flourish the way He wants you to.
That's right.
And so that's one of the big concerns I have is Satan has done such a good job of trying to just ruin the lives of so many people through separation, through want, through all these barriers. And to your point, so when you have nothing, there's only two things you can do. So there's a phrase, there's no atheists in foxholes. Okay. So in war, everybody realizes there's a God and they need Him. Right. But when it's not just war, when it's your life, when everything is a nonstop battle, then it's not that moment of, oh, I am in trouble. And so then instead of all, kids and everyone saying, we have nothing, we need God, it is, we have nothing, we have to project. We have to fill in the gap of all these things that weren't invested in us, weren't given to us, and all this. And that creates this just situation where a third of folks continue to go to jail and perpetuate the issue, as opposed to, God has the absolute answers. But how do you break into somebody's heart when the first 10, 15, 20 years of their life has just been nothing but lacking for, right?
Wow.
I got
Ladies
something
and
to
gentlemen,
say.
hold up. Y'all are time.
Yeah.
Come on,
For those of you that are watching, we most definitely are not through with this. For some of you, you may have can identify with some of the things that Milagro mentioned and said. Moms, dads, some of your kids maybe are experiencing or struggling with some of the things that he talked about too. In the next episode, we're going to talk a little bit about more of solutions to some of those things. Our time is up. We want to thank you for watching Real Talk with Ed and Eric and our guest, Milagro Spencer. Until next week, remember, we walk by faith, not by sight.
See you soon.
Sir.